to Life, Laughter, Divorce, episode 13. I am your host, Leanne Linsky.
And I'm the boyfriend. I don't know what's going on with her tonight, but I'm just going to let her do it, and that's fine.
Hey, it's episode 13. It's our lucky episode. Hey, you know what? Today is our lucky episode 13, and I thought it'd be fun to bring in a guest who's actually married, a newlywed.
Never divorced either.
Never divorced. She's fairly newlywed, right? And I was at their wedding. Beautiful, beautiful wedding. But she's been a friend of mine for many years now. And I've known her long enough to know that she's been in quite a long-term relationship, that when she went through the breakup and everything, it was really hard on her. And I have to say, you know what? Even though she wasn't divorced, I think she kind of gets the whole gist of a divorce in so many respects, because her marriage, her past relationship, I think was longer than both my divorces put together. So to me, that qualifies.
You don't even count them as marriages. You just must like divorces, both of that.
Yes, that exactly. My divorces were longer than my the divorce was longer than the wedding. Hey, I was married in Vegas. What do those were, you're in, you're out, man. Did I ever tell you that they actually offered me a job at one of the wedding chapels?
For what?
My experience. What do you think?
But there's the comedian in her coming out, ladies and gentlemen.
My experience. I'm not kidding. I went in for an interview, and I fill out the application, everything. They called me in for the interview, and they said, well, what qualifications do you have? And I go, well, I've been married twice and had a great interview, and they hired me. They offered me the job, and I ended up turning it down because I was married at the time to my second husband, and I decided that I didn't really want all my evenings and weekends taken up. I wanted to spend time with him. So you see how that paid off. Did you just yawn during my story?
Yep.
You yawned. You yawned.
I've heard your divorce stories enough. I'm fine. Yeah, whatever.
Wow. I'm so glad this wasn't at a stand-up show.
Oh, you haven't seen me yawn at those yet either?
No, the lights are shining in my face. I can't see most anything in the audience. Oh, man. That's messed up. But yeah, our guest today, her relationship has probably all of her relationships have lasted longer than mine. But in particular, she, I know, went through a really hard breakup. And since then, she has moved on. She met an amazing man. They were married a while back, about a year or so ago.
So tell us what Suzy does now.
Well, Suzy is an actor, a writer, a fabulous actress, a fabulous writer. And right now she is also co-hosting a really popular podcast called Food Heals. And it's really cool. Her and Allison, her co-host, talk and have guests on each week, and they discuss healing foods, obviously. They also talk about entrepreneurship. She'll tell us in our interview with her a little bit more about it, but it's actually a lot of fun. And they just happened to have me on there last week to talk.
Fancy.
To talk about the healing powers of laughter.
So you can catch that episode on...
You can, on Food Heals Nation. Check it out at foodhealsnations.com, or check them out on iTunes, Food Heals, episode 146. So yeah, our guest this week is my good friend, Suzy Hardy. So without further ado, do the do. So we are here today with our special guest, Suzy Hardy, and she is with Food Heals Podcast. Why did it take me so long to get that out? She's with Food Heals Podcast, and I've known Suzy for about 6 years now. We were actually accountability partners years ago for an acting class, and we did all that over the phone and became friends for like years before we met in person.
That's true.
And so acting, you've done acting, you're a writer. She does all kinds of amazing, you have all kinds of skills. You're a massage therapist.
I do.
Right? You got skills people haven't even seen.
I constantly evolve my what I'm interested in.
Yes, you
I guess
do.
that's kind of non-committal in a way.
And you guys may recognize Suzy's voice from our episode 00. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. And what we want to talk about today is how do foods heal? And what are you guys doing over there on your podcast?
Well, Food Heals podcast just celebrated, a little bit more, but our 100th episode. So we've been around for about a year, and I came together with my co-host Allison. As you mentioned, I am a massage therapist. I'm always interested in healing my body, which I've had to do in different ways throughout my life, and I'm fascinated with, I guess, fixing yourself, but I've always been fascinated in like therapy and the brain and the body. You know, I had a back injury when I was 16 that taught me a lot about alternative therapies such as massage and acupuncture and energy work. And I came together with my co-host Allison because she was interested in creating a podcast about healing in general. It is called Food Heals. It is very food-based. It's very vegetable and vegan and vegetarian-based. And while I am not a vegetarian, we love talking about all things healing.
Yeah.
As well as entrepreneurship, because we're both entrepreneurs, and as well as, so we both have many, many interests.
Yes, you do. And you're a newlywed still. Yes.
That is true. Well, year and a half, is that still new? I guess it is.
Yep. I was at Suzy's wedding, which was absolutely beautiful. You had a zebra
and tigers and all kinds of wild birds. Yes, we had it at a place called Rancho Las Lomas in Orange County.
It was absolutely beautiful.
I love that place.
Yes, it was. I had a good time at your wedding. It was very nice. So that was something I wanted to make sure our listeners know, that your marital status, because that is key on here.
I think you need to ask every guest what their marital status is, or at least what their opinion is.
I would, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And so, how's that working out for you?
Pretty good. We're not divorced yet. No. It's been interesting. I love my husband very much. I think he is a phenomenal man, and he is the only one that I've never had any formal proposals. I've always had some kind of off the cuff, will you marry me? I swear to God, this even started in like second grade, where I had like little Frankie Greco was like, I'm going to marry you someday.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, Frankie Greco. Hi, Frank Greco. Where his mom told my mom that's what he said. He didn't say it to me. I didn't get the proposal. All the way to, in high school, I was very in love with my high school boyfriend. I thought we would get married. I was very much in love with him. But, my opinion, and I always wanted to be married. I think I was definitely influenced by Disney. So thank you very much, Disney, of thinking that that marriage, once you're married, like that's the hardest part, is finding him and making sure that he's the right one and getting through the wedding and being married. And I've found that, no, that's not true. It's like, just like any relationship, it has its ups and downs. It has its beautiful spots, and it has its challenges. And I love being married, but it's not the blissful Disney experience that I thought I was going to have. And I didn't even know that I was carrying them around. And like I've talked about, like I love figuring out my own brain, or why I love human behavior in general.
Right.
I think it's really fascinating. I think it's one of the last unknown frontiers, the human mind, deep space, and deep ocean. And I think as human beings, we think we've figured a lot out, but there's still a lot left. Anyway, so my marriage is great.
And that is awesome. That is awesome. A lot of our listeners are like, well, good for you, Suzy.
Well, it's also interesting too, because we got married later in life. So, I know for myself, I would have never, even though I had, was very much in love with my high school boyfriend, I knew that I needed to know myself, and I wanted experiences before I would settle down and have kids. And so, I got married in my late 30s, which I don't regret. That worked for me.
Well, I think according to you, what you told me before one time was that the older you are when you get married, the higher chance of success that you have for it.
Yeah.
So you're probably much better off than I was at 22.
Yeah. Here's hoping.
Yeah. So that's good. And I think a lot of people say that they feel like they've had more opportunity to find themselves and to pursue other dreams and things like that. While, staying single longer,
I think so because, there's this, it's like from Jerry Maguire, right? It's like the "you complete me" thing. And I don't know if men,
No, we don't feel that way.
no, but women definitely think, in general, this is a very vast generalization, but like I think that we're always kind of looking for our mate or our spouse to complete us. And that I found, and I've succumbed to that. I had to figure out that I was even thinking that way and go, that's dangerous. There's no one person ever that is going to complete you. Not your parents, not your children, not your spouse, not your pet, nothing. And the same thing with a job or money or success. It's like, particularly about relationships, though, I think that leads to a lot of problems.
Well, I think the more correct word, at least in my life, is compliment me.
Mm.
What works with me so we can go through this crazy life together.
Yeah.
So we got to trying to find a pairing where we're not too alike, not too different, but we can complement each other to go through this journey.
Or at least be willing to figure it out, right? Because I've known people that are very different, very opposite, but they are willing to complement each other or to go along with whatever their partner is into, or and support them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. And you've mentioned that you were very influenced by Disney. Right?
Yeah.
What Disney movie in particular?
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why Sleeping Beauty?
I don't know. That was always my favorite. I mean, I loved Cinderella. I loved Snow White. We had all of the Disney VHSs when I was growing up, but Sleeping Beauty. But no, I think it had that rescue, right? I guess there's always the rescue.
Right.
There's that rescue thing.
Right.
Where the prince comes along and and in Sleeping Beauty, he literally slayed a dragon and he chopped through big thorns and he came to the castle and woke her up. And I think that those are beautiful tales.
That aren't real.
That aren't real.
It ruins it for us guys because we can never match up to that.
Well,
no. No.
But in small ways. Like I can remember. I agree with you, but I could remember in.
I'm
going to change my mind. No, I agree with you.
I'll give you small ways. There's little things you can do, but in
I
terms
think
of the whole life thing.
But I think that goes back to the complement each other.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. So a favorite movie is The Big Lebowski. Is that what influences you most in your relationships? I mean, because you kind of made a face at Disney.
It doesn't influence my relationships, but it does bring a smile to my face every day I think about it. And that's good.
Well, I definitely think men and women approach relationships very differently.
Yeah, this is true. That's for sure.
And I think that's changing.
It's changing, but do you think it's that women have this idea that this guy's going to come and save me? My life is going to be great after I meet him?
I think a lot of women subconsciously do. Yeah. I think that's what that came to my mind. There's even a episode of Sex and the City where, Miranda is a tough lawyer and she's a working woman and she takes care of herself and she has to be, she needs help because she's going to get LASIK and she's all drugged up and her ex-boyfriend is willing. He's like, I'll pick you up. I'll take care of you. And she's like, no, I can do it. No rescue, and it's very much in the kind of gestalt, if I can use that word, of the fabric of at least, I don't want to say every woman, but I'll just use myself as an example. But I know that I've seen my friends too. It's like women have that thing of like, oh, once I get there, then I can start my life.
Yeah, once I have that emergency contact person.
Exactly. Which is what makes divorce so difficult because then that crumbles to pieces and you're left with yourself, whether you will find another relationship or not. And I think it's really important for people to realize that they are whole and complete with or without someone else.
That's very true because I do think that what I've learned is that person can't be my foundation. I have to be my foundation. We can help build upon that foundation together, but it shouldn't.
Like an add-on, like a wing.
It's an addition to my house that I've already built for myself.
Yeah.
It's not supporting it. So if something happens and you're gone tomorrow, the whole house crumbles because that's not healthy. But that, yeah.
I'm having an visual image. I don't know if you guys heard about this, where Tim Burton and Helena Bonham Carter, who I believe are divorced now or divorcing, they had built a home. They're two separate homes, but with like an attached hallway, so they could come in and out of each other's houses, but they lived separately.
That's kind of ideal, isn't it?
I would have thought so, but they're getting divorced or have been divorced.
They just closed the door? What?
I guess. I don't know.
Wow.
You guys didn't hear about that?
No.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to Google that and check that out.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah, that's Well, it's interesting that too, because, okay, going back to your podcast and foods, that heal and doing things that heal your life and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I usually seek those things out when things are going wrong in my life.
Yeah.
And instead of doing stuff all the time that just promotes healthy habits and, physically and emotionally and spiritually, we wait until things fall apart to go, oh my gosh, I've not been taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you showed up here today with gifts, number one, but not just any gifts. So Suzy brought us chocolates, but they're healthy chocolates.
They are healthy chocolates.
And she gave one to me, which was for which actually has
I'll give them a shout out because this company's fascinating.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I don't know. It just brings to mind to me is like, why wait until everything is going to crap before you start doing something and taking care of yourself? Because I think that's one thing we forget when we get into relationships. Well, I'll speak for myself, that I often find that I'll give too much focus to the other person or to do other things rather than the things I always did on my own.
I think that's a big female trait. I know specifically that happens to a lot of women when they have children. And as you need to, if you have a newborn, you have an infant, you have to give up most of your day or your time to take care of them. But even when the children get older, mothers in particular, and I've even heard of women get certain autoimmune diseases that at a higher rate than men do. And in a psychostructural way, or I'm sorry, in a psychological way, it's been postulated that it's because they're always kind of giving to others, and autoimmune diseases are about your own body attacking yourself. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I trailed off there. But anyway, yes.
I'm following you. I know exactly where
So I brought you these chocolates. These are from Addictive Wellness, raw chocolates. It's a lovely couple that creates this line, and they were on our podcast. And these are actually healing chocolates. Now, everybody knows that chocolates make us chocolates make us feel good. They kind of give us a buzz. We can get addicted to chocolate. And there's a huge kind of prevalency of eat dark chocolate for health, which is true. You can get a lot of antioxidants, etc. These in particular are even better because they have tonifying herbs and mushrooms. And what that means,
and you wouldn't think mushrooms would be in chocolate.
No, you would think it's the different type of mushroom. But anyway, let me open this up.
Right.
It would be kind of gross, or wait, hold on. Truffles are kind of a mushroom, right? So these guys came to us to be guests, and I learned a lot. I didn't know. I'd heard of things like reishi mushrooms, and I'm going to say this wrong, astragalus. Yeah, I said it right. Wow. Astragalus. And they have other things like horsetail and tremella mushrooms. And if you guys can just look at these pictures, they're wild. They don't look like mushrooms. What was explained to me was the gentleman that created this line is that these are tonifying herbs and mushrooms that are used around the world. And what that means is that you take a little bit every day instead of, just as you were saying, instead of you waiting until you're falling apart and taking a pill to fix you, you take a little bit of this every day. And what it does is help strengthen the way your organs function, not your muscles, not, more of like your internal organs, enzyme function, etc. So, and these are a great way to get that because they're delicious. Yeah. So I brought you these, some of these because I had some and I thought you might enjoy it. And they have formulations, one for beauty, one for love, one for as I gave.
Yes, she gave me because I'm so impressed because I turn it over and the mushrooms that are in there is a shatavari or how I'm totally butchering it.
You're better than I wouldn't have known what that is.
But I know that because that is something that I was taking. It gets rid of hot flashes, and it works like a charm. it really puts balance with your hormones
Mhm.
and things, and it's fantastic. And the other one on there is maca, which
Mhm.
actually maca has a similar effect, and it increases your libido.
Yes.
So, and it has those two, and then a third one, which I'm not familiar
Fun
with.
for everybody.
Right? Everybody's happy. And so I'm very excited about that because that stuff is fantastic.
Mhm.
And, and then you gave us the one for love.
Yeah, so they had a great story about how they met. Sage and Ana Blanca are the couple behind Addictive Wellness Raw Chocolate, and they told us a awesome story about how he was sort of he studied these around the world. He went to Australia and was studying tonifying herbs, and was taken by her beauty. She's a very lovely lady, and he made her a chocolate chia pudding with, I don't know exactly what, but it worked like a charm.
Mm,
Yeah,
wow. And now they're together.
now they're together.
Oh,
No,
good.
oh,
Good
he's-
for them. I'm happy for them.
He's like, I just want to eat the chocolate
No.
now. So, and I went to your big podcast celebration.
Right.
You had a lot of different people, and the chocolate people were there.
They were there.
Very there, and that was fantastic. And then the people with the coconut alcohol drink,
Yes.
that was interesting. They did these, just so you guys know at home, they have a health drink that contains alcohol.
Yeah, it's like the first of its kind. So it's got like a lot of antioxidants. It's made from coconuts, but it's actually alcohol. So you can drink it, and it doesn't give you as much of a hangover, and you're actually getting some vitamins and minerals. And
Yeah. So as we go through heartache out there, grab some healthy alcohol and some chocolates that are going to help your well-being. I mean, those are kind of good things that you should do all the time. So here's a big question. So now you and Mike are married.
yes,
And what kind of healthy things are you doing together as a couple?
we do yoga.
Really?
I am trying to get my husband more into it. He was always kind of resistant. He'd done yoga before we met, but just like most men, he's less flexible than I am. And I've been doing dance and yoga and Pilates and for a long time. So he was always kind of intimidated by it. But I have broken through the ceiling, and he does go with me to yoga.
Okay, I'm not flexible. I'm like a 2x4, right? And he's laughing at me because he knows this is true. Like if I try and straighten my leg at any point, like standing is difficult, right? And you can basically do the splits. I feel like you're so limber. You can do.
I try to stay stretched.
Yeah,
I'm a former athlete. You got to take care of yourself.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could do yoga much better than I can.
Yeah. Well, the important
Right.
thing to remember about yoga, I love it because it was actually, remember reading this, that the yoga that we do in the West, which is all the postures and on a mat, was created and intended so that you could sit in meditation and relax the mind so that your body wouldn't cramp up. And we kind of forget that. But I still, in the West, I think, we all do the posture so we can look hot and be nice and toned and flexible. But I still get a benefit of mind-body connection when I do it. Like it's very relaxing to me. And yeah, we enjoy it. So I try to get him to go do that with me as much as possible. We go hiking because we live right by Runyon Canyon in Los Angeles. So we enjoy that. And what else? Healthful eating, we try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're giving me the look like
There's only so much I can do. My husband is a Canadian. He's a meat and potatoes guy, but he does eat his vegetables when I put him in front of him. If I cook for him, he'll eat healthfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I've known you. I knew you before Mike knew you,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And I remember. I mean, I've known you long enough that I've seen you go through some heartbreak
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. Do you remember? Because this is so long ago now. But do you remember like when you went through your breakup before Mike and you were healing yourself, like what you were doing to to better your life
take
and
care of
get back
myself?
on track? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of which one that would have been. Which one you're specifically referencing, but I can tell you in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Leanne just drew
I'm writing the
drew
name
a
with
letter
my
in the
finger.
air. Yeah. Yeah, many things. I journal, meditate, exercise. I think exercise is so key in order to take care of yourself. Keep your mind clear. I know for me, obviously breakups are hard for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think that and whatever that means for you, because I've forced myself sometimes to do some certain types of exercise, like spinning. I can't stand spinning. Well, for me, it hurt my back. I have a bad back. It tightened up my hamstrings. It tightened up my back, and I was just in so much pain. And I, I knew I was getting a good workout, but I was like, this isn't for me. I'm not going to force myself to do it. So self-care, I think, is all about finding things. And I didn't want to go back, like yoga, dance classes. What else? Just even working out, running on my own. I enjoy far more than. So you got to find what works for you in terms of exercise. And I think, and for me, the hardest part of that was to keep going. Because it was a lot easier to sit on the couch and drink wine and eat cake, which I think has its place too, Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
You have to nurture yourself, and that is individual for everybody. I also know that retreating to nature, going to the beach, spending time with my dog, spending time with friends, indulging in all the things that I know feed my soul, as you said.
Mm-hmm. It's important. It's really important.
Yeah.
What do you think was the craziest? I'm just thinking, like, out of any breakup that you've ever experienced, what was the craziest thing you did after the breakup to make yourself feel better?
Oh, I got my dog. I don't think that's that crazy. But my boyfriend before that, even though he loved dogs, was like, we're not getting dogs. I can't handle like it when we have to put him down or when they die. And I was like, but you love dogs. So getting the dog was really like I don't want to say it was like a fuck you. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say it.
But it was kind of a fuck you. It was kind of a reclaiming of, no, this is something for me that I want, that I've always wanted.
Right.
I've always loved dogs. And I don't think that's that crazy. I think I can come up with something better.
I think on that note, I think my biggest
I just thought of it
after the relationship was leaving the dog with my ex-husband. I was like, you can have her. She was crazy. I love the dog, but she would bite your face. So
I'm gonna get racy for a minute. I think
okay.
I know the crazy. I think it was a one night stand. That was probably the craziest thing because I hadn't never done that before.
Yeah,
I never wanted to, and I can't say that I would do it again. It wasn't necessarily a great experience.
Wasn't all that fulfilling.
But
why? So not that you wouldn't do it again. That's not what I'm asking. But why do you think you went through that and put yourself in that situation? What did it feed?
Maybe that desire that someone else wanted you.
I don't necessarily know. It was part of me. I was raised Catholic. And,
me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
And my mom, but my parents were Catholic lights. We didn't go to church. I was confirmed, but my mom always wanted me to make sure that I had a good understanding of sexuality and never wanted me to feel ashamed. She actually encouraged me to not be a virgin on my wedding night. And thank God, because I would have been in my late 30s if I had waited. But she always wanted me to have that healthy understanding, but also understand that it's your body and you want to, treat it like a temple. And doing this was sort of like a kind of rebellious kind of, I'm going to do what I want type thing. I don't really have the right answer for that because I
don't think
really,
there's a right
No.
answer.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it could change as you think of it over time too. Like at the time you may have answered one way and looking back on it, you may feel differently.
It felt a little, I think, reckless, like a little dangerous, like a little going against what I was taught, even though my mom, like I said, taught me about sexuality in a certain way. If you're raised Catholic as a female, I think or a male, you're definitely like you hear things about sex and it's a sin and et cetera, et cetera. So it was kind of a outlash or like a repulsion of that or kind of like
a rebellion.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I'm going to do something completely different that I wouldn't normally ever do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's more, if there's something crazier than that, but I think that's the craziest.
Like I bungee jumped or
no, nothing like that. No.
Yeah. I remember I did do bungee jumping once, and as they hike you way up right before they let you go, someone had taken their foot in the gravel down below the thing that says you're going to die. I'm like, that's a horrible thing to put before you let me go.
I would have walked back down.
Or no, maybe it said say your prayer. But in my mind, I read you're going to die. I think it said say your prayers. But yeah, in my mind, that's what it says.
But you did it anyway.
I did it anyway. Well, I was up there.
And did you feel You said this was after a breakup?
Well, it's definitely after my second divorce at some point. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was pretty stupid.
Did you get what you wanted from it?
Yeah, I was like, okay, that was done, and I'll never do that again. That was absolutely terrifying. Yeah. I mean, now if I were to go through a divorce, and I probably wouldn't do half the things that I did before. I'd just be like, well, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have me thinking about my breakups now.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. No, just really thinking about like what it was like after those. And both of them took an extremely long time to really come to pass. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I would always even though like I would start to feel like a relationship was kind of ending. And this is when I was in my with my therapist, and she would be like, it's not about whether you stay or you go. It's about what you learn. I'd always second guess myself, or it would take a really long time. It was like slowly pulling off the Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little painful.
And that's why I don't think it was, there wasn't any, like right after, there was no like pounding of my chest like a gorilla, like I'm going to reclaim my life, because it took so long to get there. Just getting there and being like, I'm done with this. No matter what happens, this is not in my life anymore, was like the victory enough, was like as much as I could handle.
I think it depends too, because, thinking back on breakups and stuff, it's changed over the years. It changes. I think each relationship is kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
An own experience in that sense. And so I just, I feel it's a little bit different. You guys act differently than what we're talking about after a breakup?
You're speaking for all men everywhere right now.
Yeah. Man of many
Pleading
words.
the fifth. No, I think guys, it depends on the length of the relationship, and it depends on how vested that guy is in that relationship. Because some guys aren't vested; they'll just stick around. And I'm not judging you on yours, but it takes a while to get out of them, and that may be because they're not vested or they are around. Just
no. Well, we definitely get into relationships for different reasons.
Yeah, it's difficult. We feel rejected also, and it didn't work out, and we do dumb things. Probably more dumb things than you guys have discussed today.
Like, what's a dumb thing?
Well, guys go out and try to find one-night stands.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more than women do.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, from my understanding, would be to show that I can, or show that a man can do that.
Right.
Some people go on trips. Some people buy cars. Some people, they do strange things, and it's typically bigger than what you guys are talking about. But again, everyone deals with it differently.
Yeah.
So we're all trying to get through.
Like, you don't go out and buy a new pair of pants and be like, boom, I showed him. Because that's my thought. I'm like, look, if you saw me.
Did you buy a pair of pants?
Like, if you saw me in these boots,
Yeah.
Something like that.
No, we don't do that.
All right, fair enough. It's like a new car instead.
Yeah.
That's interesting you say that, because after my first marriage, I did go buy a new car. When we had to meet up because he had a pair of my shoes or something, and I pulled up in a new car, he was just like devastated. He goes, why did you wait until now to get that cool car? No, it wasn't that cool. It was a Saturn, but but back then it had a spoiler on it.
Oh.
So it was looking sporty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is interesting. Well, you know what? I mean, this has been awesome, and I'm kind of ready to chow down on these chocolates and everything. But did you have any last minute tidbits for our listeners out there?
Well, I guess not having been divorced, but having gone through breakups, if anyone's listening that is going through that, I would just say nurture yourself. Really, take care of your responsibilities if you have children or pets, but really like nurture yourself. I think we, especially if you've kind of resonated with what I said, where you thought that person would complete you, and now you're devastated because you're, as Leanne said, you're complete with someone or without. So
That's right. You're just rearranging the house now.
you're rearranging the house, the furniture.
Yes. Buy new furniture.
Buy new
Forget your
furniture.
pants. Buy new
Feng
furniture.
shui. Hey, that works. Change locations, move, whatever works for you.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your experience, and definitely for bringing gifts and
Oh,
chocolate,
you're welcome. My
all
pleasure.
that good stuff. So thanks. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Okay.